Corvette. Steelers really blew a game like that. Welcome to the third episode of the Leading the Pack pod, where we do not condone TikTok dances and other teams' logos. So, let's get right into this. Steelers fans, how do you feel about losing to the Browns for the first time? They're losing to the Browns, essentially, in the playoffs. Big weekend of wildcard football. Saw the Browns beating the Colts. We saw the Colts losing to the Bills, not the Browns. Rams beat the Seahawks. We saw the Buccaneers beat the Washington no-name brand, which to my Canadian viewers, I know you appreciate that joke. Then you got the Ravens beating the Titans, getting their revenge on the Titans for stepping on their logo last year. The Saints beating the Bears on Nickelodeon, which was a very historic game because we saw the first F word, I think, on Nickelodeon. And then the Browns playing the Steelers, and that game went just about as I thought it would. I really want to talk about that Browns game. Actually, I want to talk about trash talking in general. NFL players, listen to me. When you are going into a playoff game, stop with the trash talking. Like Jamal Adams, too. He was trash talking the Rams. He lit a victory cigar after the Seahawks beat the Rams to win the division title. 2 weeks later, they lost to the Rams. It's just not good when you do that. Don't with the trash talk. So now that I got that out of the way, don't want to talk about that because there's a lot more that we can talk about, because I got a lot to talk about between football and hockey. So I want to get right into what happened this week, or what's going to be happening this week. So we saw the Rams beat the Seahawks. Now the Rams are going to be playing the Packers for the first game this weekend. I'm a Packers fan, and I'm stressed out for this game. This is the best defense going against the best offense, and it's going to be stressful to watch. I'll be honest with you. This is a really good game for any other fans of these teams. Well, of the Packers, because the Rams don't have any fans, to be honest with you. If I'm any other team in the NFL, I'm really enjoying this game because you got the best offense versus the best defense. You got Aaron Rodgers against Aaron Donald. You got Devontae Adams versus Jalen Ramsey. And you have the best cornerback against Jalen Ramsey, too. This is... You got the Jair Alexander versus Jalen Ramsey. That's going to be a really good storyline because I think Jalen Ramsey or Jair should have made the corner. Should have been on the All-Pro team, not over Jalen. I think he should have been over Xavier, but that's another discussion for another time. It's also the All-Pro team. He made second team All-Pro. I feel like that. Still good for him. He should have been a first-team All-Pro over Xavier because nobody was throwing to Jair. He was locking down wide receivers all year. I think that this was a really good weekend for football, honestly. I wanted to see Washington beat the Buccaneers. Just cheers to Zach to Heineke. He came in. I think he was like the third or fourth string QB for this team. He looked really good. Gotta say, that guy can move. He looked really good for Washington against the Buccaneers, but at the end of the day, it was the Buccaneers. Buccaneers were bound to win that game. Bears losing to the Saints, not surprised. The Bears stink. We saw somebody drop an F-bomb on Nickelodeon, which is even funnier because you knew it was going to happen. It was bound to happen that somebody was going to drop an F-bomb in a football game. And he was right beside the mic, too. That was the funniest thing. But the biggest game from this weekend, the Browns and Steelers. Not even gonna give the Steelers that. I just want the Steelers to know you deserve that. For all the trash talking that they've been doing to Cleveland, that game was very deserved. They should have lost that game. I'm happy that the Steelers won, or that the Browns won as a football fan. Really happy to see that happen. So next week, we got some big games. We got the Rams versus Packers, like I said. Really stressed out for that game. Talked about that already. Why that's going to be a really good game to watch. The other game that Saturday is the Ravens versus Bills. Now, a big storyline, at least for me, is you got Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson playing against each other. Those are arguably the two best QBs that came from that draft class. It's going to be a really fun game to watch because both defenses should be a lot better. Like there's moments this season that they should have played a lot better than both defenses, but they didn't. But you also got really good offense. I think the Bills take that game at the end of the day. They got a lot better. I think they have a better offense. They have the better receivers, Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs. I'm so happy Stephon Diggs isn't on the Vikings. Just gonna get that right out of the way. But they've been balling out all year. Their running game isn't as good, but their air game is just so good. But the Ravens also have a good secondary, so that should be fun to watch with them. The other game we have is the Browns and Chiefs. Oh, also I think the Packers beat the Rams. I think the Bills beat the Ravens. Then you got the Browns and the Chiefs on the Sunday. First game for the Sunday. That's the Chiefs game for sure. That should be the Chiefs game. I think it's going to be a lot closer than when Juju and Chase Claypool and everybody else is saying. The Browns aren't as bad this year. Like, they're really good this year. And they're going to be having their coaches back. I think this should be a close game, especially with them being on a high after beating the Steelers. Like, slapping the Steelers around. Don't forget that at one point it was 28-0. But the Browns have a really good running game. If Jarvis Landry balls out again, they should be a lot closer of a game. But it's going to be the Chiefs game to win. The Chiefs are just too good to lose this game. I think the Chiefs take it. I don't know the score. I just know the Chiefs take it. I think the Buccaneers and the Saints, that's going to be another good game. That should be a very close game because you got two old QBs playing against each other. And then Saints got Michael Thomas back and Alvin Kamara. Buccaneers, they're missing Mike Evans, but they still got Chris Godwin and they still got Antonio Brown, who scored 3 weeks in a row. I'm going to take the Saints on this one because I don't want the Buccaneers to win this. I'm going to take the Saints. I think this because the Saints also did slap the Buccaneers twice this year already. I think this is the Saints game, but it's the playoffs. You don't look at the regular season as being the playoffs. It's going to be another good game. I think we're going to be seeing a Packers-Saints conference championship and then a Bills-Chiefs conference championship. We'll talk about the conference championships when it happens. If I'm right or not, we'll look at it again. But just remember, I took the Packers and Saints and the Bills and the Chiefs, like everybody else is really. But so that happened in football. And I'm just glossing over football because I also want to talk about the All-Pro selection that happened. I'm happy with it. So for those of you who don't know, the All-Pro is essentially the best players from this is a team made of the best players in their position. So I'm pretty happy with how it is. The only thing I'd really change is Jair being there over Xavier for the cornerbacks. But you got 4 other Packers. You got Rodgers, Devontae Adams, David Bakhtiari, and then Corey Linsley made it. I'm happy enough with that as is. I got nothing to complain about that. I think those guys deservedly should have made it, deservedly so. Aaron Rodgers was the best QB in the NFL this year, without a doubt. He is definitely the MVP. Devontae Adams, if he played those 2 games, he probably would have led in the receiving yards because he in 14 games, 18 touchdowns, and then he was, I think, 3rd in receiving. That's just incredible. He's, without a doubt, the best receiver in the NFL. Without a doubt. Left tackle, you got David Bakhtiari. Deservedly so. So, I'm happy with that. And then Corey Linsley finally getting that shot. And the rest of the team, you got Derrick Henry at running back. For sure, should have had that spot. Could have given it to Kamara maybe, but Derrick Henry rushed for over 2,000 yards. He's only the 8th player to do that. That's his spot for sure. Travis Kelce at tight end. There's no really other player I think you put at tight end except for Travis Kelce. What else? You got the other receivers other than Devontae Adams. You got Stephon Diggs and then Tyreek Hill. Definitely should have had it. Stephon Diggs, He led in receiving this year. Tyreek Hill, you could have put somebody else over there, maybe Justin Jefferson, because he had a great year for a rookie. Excuse me. I'm really talking a lot. But you also had Tyreek Hill. I think maybe you could have put Justin Jefferson there, or maybe DeAndre Hopkins. Tyreek Hill, he just had a great year this year for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think you also put him there because the Chiefs were also the best team in the NFL. Then for the other O-line, other than two Packers, I said, Jack Conklin on right tackle. I think he deserved that. He looked really good this year for the Cleveland Browns. Quentin Nelson is going to be an all-pro guard, I think, for his entire career. He's definitely the best guard in the NFL this year. Or in general, I think he's the best guard. Then Brandon Scherf, he's looked really good for Washington from the games that I've seen. I think he got that deserved. He deserved it for sure. Then you got the edge rushers, T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett. I don't think there's any. Maybe you could have put Brian Burns there, but T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett definitely should have been, or definitely are the best edge rushers in the NFL this year. Then you got the interior lineman, Aaron Donald, DeForest Buckner. You can't argue that. You got the best lineman or defensive lineman, the best defensive player in general, in Aaron Donald. And then DeForest Buckner, who should have been a Pro Bowler, but Pro Bowler doesn't mean anything. He looked really good. Happy to see him there. The linebackers, I probably would have changed it up a little bit. You got Fred Warner, which I'm happy to see him there. Probably could have put somebody else maybe, but I think he definitely should have. He was like the only bright spot to a very broken down 49ers team. Bobby Wagner, I'll be honest, I think he's a little overrated. I probably would have put Devin White there instead, other than Bobby Wagner. Devin White looked really good. And you got Darius Leonard, still a really good linebacker. You could have put somebody else, like other people there for the linebackers instead of those three. But at the end of the day, I'm still happy with Fred Warner and Darius Leonard. Bobby Wagner would have changed a bit. Then the cornerbacks, CBs, Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey definitely deserved it. He balled out all year. Like he shut down so many receivers. Like he was able, like DK Metcalf has had a bad time against Jalen Ramsey this year. And then you got Xavier Howard. He had 9 picks this year, but he had a lot of people like throwing to him. I would have put Jair there instead of on the second team. I would have put Xavier Howard on the second team. Xavier looked really good this year, 9 picks, but nobody was throwing to Jair because he was just locking down the receivers. I think Jair should be there instead. He's on the second team. What are you going to do? Then the safeties, Tyrann Mathieu, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and Mbutta. Tyrann should be there for sure. Honey Badger. Buddha for sure. I was trying to think who could have been there for Minkah. The names slipped my mind. Then again, Minkah, most of the year he looked really good. So I think that's who should have been. I think again this is still good. Leave it to how it is. I'm happy with those 3. Even though it's supposed to be 2, but it was a tie. And special teams got Jason Sanders. I would have put Younghoe Koo instead of Sanders, but I guess he had a really good year. Jake Bailey, I don't know. The New England Patriots weren't too good this year. I guess they punted a lot. Cordero Patterson is the greatest kick returner probably ever. I don't know. He's looked really good. He's a really good kick returner, that's for sure. I've seen that as a Packers fan. Punt returner Gunnar Olszewski, sure. And special teamer Gordon Odom, and then long snapper Morgan Cox. I don't really know much about that. I'm pretty happy with how the All-Pro is, or how the All-Pro team this year. Don't have much to complain about. I think that it's a good team. Still, I would have put Jair there. I'm trying to think of what other safeties I would have put there instead of Buddha. It was a tie, or it's not Buddha. It was a tie. I think Buddha Baker should have been, or not. I don't know. I think this is a good team. I'm happy with it. Tyrann Mathieu should have made it for sure. He's just such a good safety. So it's just, I'm so happy to see that he's playing on a really good team. I was really happy to see that he won a Super Bowl last year too. Other than that, there's not really much to change. Like the edge rushers, there's maybe you would put Zadarius Smith or Khalil Mack, but no, because T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett just played phenomenal this year. Aaron Donald, you can't replace him. He should be an all-pro defensive tackle every single year. And then DeForest Buckner really played well. He was really one of the best defensive tackles this year. Not Aaron Donald, but he was really good defensive tackle this year. It's not really much I changed to the all-pro team. Really happy to see Aaron Rodgers get it. I think this means he's getting the MVP now. So it was a good season for these players. Happy to see that they had a really good season. Now we're in the playoffs where it really matters. So we'll see what happens this week for a lot of teams' players. But just give me a second. Let me just get my water. So that's what happened for football. But I want to talk about hockey now. Excuse me. You see, I talk a lot. When I talk a lot, my mouth gets dry. And I don't know. I just hate it. But I want to talk about the NHL season coming up. We have an interesting year. Sorry for the silence, but it's going to be an interesting year coming up. So, the NHL divisions. So, we also had a lot of stuff happen this weekend in the NHL with waivers, like waiver wires. A couple of fights happened in the inter team scrimmages. We saw PK Subban fight Miles Woods. We saw it was Tyler Gaudette. He fought I think it was Taylor Mott he fought. We saw a lot like happen, and it was just an interesting. It was weird because like I get it. You're playing. You're gonna be fighting. You're fighting for a roster spot. Essentially, is what happened. But it was interesting to see because you don't just see that a lot. We saw a lot of interesting players go on the waiver. So just glancing over the fighting. So some key names that actually cleared waivers was Corey Perry and Michael Frolik for the Habs. Corey Perry especially. You'd expect them. You maybe see like a team pick him up off of waivers. I was surprised that he was waived, especially from the Habs. I thought he would have been an interesting player for the Habs, but it didn't happen. I don't think he still maybe get a chance to play. He's probably going to be on the taxi squad now. Excuse me. So they have a chance to either put him on the taxi squad or the AHL roster. I think he goes on the taxi squad. I think he's still Corey Perry. He's too good for the taxi squad. Michael Frolik, I'm surprised. Like those are two players that, if the Habs weren't in a playoff spot, they can trade away. So putting them on the waivers, I think it was weird, but happened. We saw a lot of players get waived, but there was honestly way too many players that were waived to even talk about. Martin Marincin, I really wanted somebody to pick up from the Leafs. I just don't want to see him on the Leafs anymore. I'm getting really sick of seeing that telephone pole play for the Leafs. But so what I really want to do right now is I want to go through the divisions, and I want to go through how I think the season is going to go for each team. It's going to be an interesting season. So if I'm not mistaken, Vegas is Vegas put Vegas as having the best odds for winning the Stanley Cup this year. I'm going to start with that division instead of going in order. I don't know. I want to start off with that. So we're going to start in the West. I'm going to start in the West division. So that division is the Kings, Blues, Coyotes, Sharks, Wild, Avalanche, Golden Knights, and Ducks. Vegas put the Golden Knights as the best team or the best chances of winning the Stanley Cup. I don't even think they're the best team in their division. I think that the Colorado Avalanche, I would put them above Vegas. Vegas is deep, but yeah, they signed Pietrangelo, but we're also talking about Vegas, who gets sick of players after 6 months. They're trying to trade away Pacioretty already. I also think that when it comes down to it, their coaching isn't as good as Colorado's. And yeah, the division isn't too tough. Like the Kings, they maybe have a chance. They could be a dark horse this year to make the playoffs because they've had a pretty good rebuild. They got some really good players. They drafted some really good players. The Blues should make the playoffs for sure. Like that division comes down to the Blues, Avalanche, and Golden Knights. I think the Avalanche wins that division. Let's get that straight. Golden Knights, I think, would be second. Then it would be Blues. The Coyotes, they're just a joke of a franchise at this point with everything that's happened. I say that it comes down to Vegas. Or, sorry, it's going to be Colorado 1, Vegas 2, St. Louis 3, LA 4, LA 4th, Wild 5th, and then the Sharks. No, wait, who am I missing? How many teams? Because yeah, so I'm gonna say Colorado first, to win the division. I think Colorado's also gonna make the Stanley Cup Finals. Just gonna put that out there. Then you got, yeah. So I'd say, and then Ducks and San Jose. San Jose, I'd say the Ducks are gonna be probably the worst team in that division. That's, if I'm putting my money on a team in that division, I'm putting that on Colorado to win that division, also to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. So now I want to go with the Central Division. So that division is the Predators, Red Wings, Blackhawks, Stars, Lightning, Panthers, Hurricanes, and Blue Jackets. Now, this is an interesting division. This is the Lightning. They are missing a lot of players. Like Kucherov is going to be out for the whole season. Stamkos, who knows? He's been injured. Especially last season, he missed so much of it. He's going to be out for most of it. Or no, he was out for most of the season last year. He's just got a big question mark with how much he's been injured. The Stars, they look like they can be a good team, but they're also riddled with COVID right now. So that's another question with the start of their season. The Panthers, I think they're an overrated team. Bobrovsky, he looked no good with the Panthers. He signed for another 6 years at $10 million, or I think it's about $10 million. Not a good look, not a good start for Bobrovsky at all. It's been bad, but I think the division comes down to Lightning winning it. I think the Stars would be second, Hurricanes third. Then again, Hurricanes and Stars, who knows? But I'd probably put the Stars second in that division. The Blackhawks don't have a chance, but I don't think that they're gonna lose that division. They're tanking, or they're rebuilding. But I think the Red Wings are gonna be the last in that division. I think the playoff teams for that division is gonna be the Lightning, the Stars, Hurricanes, and Predators. Those are the real. I'd probably put the Blue Jackets over the Predators. Actually, another thing about it, because if they get some really good goaltending again this year and some really good coaching, I think they get it over the Predators. Predators just haven't looked too good ever since their Stanley Cup run. I think, yeah. So I'm gonna put it as the Lightning, Stars, Hurricanes, and Blue Jackets. That's the top four, if you ask me. You got the East Division, which is really just the Metro with Boston and Buffalo. So you got the Flyers, Bruins, Devils, Capitals, Rangers, Sabres, Islanders, and Penguins. When I tell you, this is a tough division to get a hold of. Like, I have no clue who can win this division, because every team except for New Jersey and Buffalo is a shoo-in to win this division. Like, the Islanders made it to the conference finals last year. The Penguins, yeah, they don't look as good. They made some really stupid moves, but you still got to give them the respect because of Crosby, Malkin, and their other star players. The Flyers looked really good last year. Did they win the division? I think they won the division. I can't remember now. Sorry. But you still got to respect the Flyers. They had a really good season this year and last year. And if he has a good season this year, that's a team to look out for. Philly. Then you got Washington. You always got to give them the respect. They just signed Big Z, so they're going to be a very hard team to play against. Also, don't expect the Washington Capitals to be getting any cross-checking calls ever again. This is coming from a Leaf fan that had to watch them play Zdeno Chara 3 times. Don't expect any cross-checking calls ever from the Capitals. Zdeno Chara's on the team now. He's gonna be breaking his stick over other teams' heads and getting away with it. My top 4 for this, it's really tough to say. I'm going to go with, we're going to be seeing a new team win it this year. I think the Rangers are going to be up there, but I think it's going to be Philly. I think it's going to be Philly, New York, Rangers, Islanders, and Capitals. But then you still got the Bruins. I don't think the Pittsburgh Penguins are making the playoffs this year. Let's just get that out of the way. So, Flyers, Bruins, depending on how good Rask is this year. Flyers, Rangers, Bruins. And I'm going to go Capitals. Because the Islanders just, I don't know. I never believe in the Islanders. So that's my top 4. I think that's going to be the playoff teams. Man, it's really tough. It's a really tough division that year. Any team can really win it except for really New Jersey and Buffalo. So have fun, you two guys. It's going to be really fun playing those guys 8 to 10 times a year. So have fun. Then we got the North Division, the division that I am so excited for. You got the Islanders, Canucks, Jets, Senators, Maple Leafs, Flames, and the Canadiens. Le Canadien, who I, by the way, still need to wear the jersey for. There's a lot of stuff going on in Toronto right now, so that's not going to be happening. So it's a really interesting division. Just going to get this out of the way. After this season, don't think it should happen again. Because, like, let's be real. I want to see the Bruins and Leafs back in the division again. And you still got to see the Oilers and the Canucks with the Flames and the other teams' rivalries. And then the Jets with their rivalries with their teams. I want to see that again. Like, it works for this year because of COVID. I think that leave it after the season. Never do it again. You don't need to do it again. There's rivalries with other teams that, like, especially that the NHL is going to want to see happen. But so this is another pretty tough division. It's not because it's not really the top 4 because, like, let's be real. I'm sorry to Senators and Canadiens fans. I don't see them making the playoffs this year, these two teams. These two teams, I think, have the worst chance in the division. Other than maybe the Canucks, but I don't know. Because when it comes down to it, this is my top 4. This is the team. This is how I think the top 4 is going to turn out for this division. This is sort of biased or not. You got the Leafs winning the division because they're a deeper team than really any other team on this list in here. Maybe other than the Flames. I think it's going to be the Leafs, Oilers, top 2. So first is going to be the Leafs. Second is the Oilers. Third, I think it's going to be the Flames, and it's going to be and fourth is going to be the Jets. I think the 5th team is going to be the Canucks. 6th, Canadiens. Maybe the Senators. Maybe the 6th. But this is my thing. This is why I don't feel so confident with this. You've got the Canadiens making some really good moves this year. They have some really good young players coming up. If Kotkaniemi can finally figure it out, if Nick Suzuki has a real breakout season this year, if Carey Price has a monstrous season like how he did in 2015-16, this is a team that's going to win or going to make it to the playoffs. I don't think they're going to win the division, but they can make the playoffs. But on paper, and from what we've seen before, I don't have as much faith in them. They've made some really questionable decisions this year. They signed Corey Perry, which I think was a really good signing for them because he adds depth, or he adds depth to them. But they waived him for one, and they traded away Max Domi for Josh Anderson. Habs fans, I'm gonna reel into you right now. Trading away 30-goal scorer Max Domi for one-time 20-goal scorer Josh Anderson is really dumb. Josh Anderson only scored 1 goal last year. They signed him for 5 years, I think. 7 years at like just over $5 million. Like, what is that? Trading away Max Domi to Columbus for Josh Anderson. Like, Josh Anderson, he was good at one point. He has some good things to him, but Max Domi, 30 goals. He scored 30 goals for you guys twice. And you're just going to trade him like that? For what? For somebody who scored 1 goal in 25 games last year. I understand he was injured. But 1 goal in 25 games isn't good. I don't care how much he can throw a hit. It isn't good. You wanted somebody who can throw a hit and score goals. You had somebody, Max Domi. And they traded him away for Josh Anderson. Just, like, what was that? That's why I don't trust the Canadiens to make the playoffs next year. They still have a lot of things to figure out. They have some really good players coming up, like young players. But it's not the best. It's not the best team in the division. It's just you see so many like reporters or whatever having the Canadiens winning the division for some reason, or making the playoffs or ranking the Canadiens over the Leafs, over a team that has 2 first lines and made some really good moves this year. I don't care. Like, and we're also talking about a Carey Price that's been injured a lot, who's getting older. This team, I don't think, makes the playoffs at all. I don't think I don't think they're going to be the worst team in the division. But there's a chance. I think there's a chance Ottawa could probably, leap over them. I don't think they do, because Ottawa still has a lot of things to work out. Like, Ottawa could be a dark horse, but Ottawa is also a wild card because they have so many young players coming up. Like, they're looking like 2016-17 Leafs, if you ask me, the Ottawa Senators. Everybody expects them to look bad or be a bad team. They changed their jerseys this year to a beautiful jersey, and they got their guy. They finally found their center. Now, is he going to be as good as people say? We don't know, because the draft is just a wild card. But from this moves that we saw the Senators make, they got some really good signings. They made some really good signings. They did really well in the draft. I just don't think the Canadiens make the playoffs this year. I don't think they're the best team in this division. I don't even think they're the 4th best team in this division. I think we're going to be seeing the Leafs, Oilers, Flames for sure make it. And it's going to come down to the Jets, Oilers, and Canadiens for the final spot. I think the Jets are going to get it. Or sorry, the Jets, Canucks, and Canadiens for the final spot. I think the Jets are going to get it. I might have gone into it a little bit harsh, but there's a lot more I could have said about the Canadiens. There's a lot more that I have said before. I don't know. This is just a weird season. So, and I'm excited to get into it, but there's a lot more things that are happening. So, I just want to get this straight. So now that I went through all the teams and all the divisions who I think is going to be making the division, I'm just going to make my real quick pick for the Stanley Cup. I think it's going to be the Leafs and the Colorado Avalanche. That's why I got those 2 up here. That's why I got these 2 up here on the jersey wall. I think the Stanley Cup Finals is going to be the Leafs versus the Avs. And I'm going to take the Leafs in 6 games. This is a little bit biased. This is hopeful for me. But I think this year could be it. Why not? This year has to be it, essentially. Because if they don't, this city's going to burn down. Or if they don't make it past the first round, this city's going to burn down. So another thing we've been seeing this year, just want to talk real quick before I end the episode. We got another maybe 10-15 minutes. We're seeing ads on helmets. Now, a lot of fans hate it. I hate it myself. Like, I hate seeing ads on jerseys. They do need it this year because there's going to be no, pretty much nobody in the stands, like no ticket sales for a lot of teams. We're not going to be they're not going to be making the same amount of money as they will be before, as they would have in years prior, because it's just a weird time. They do need the ads on the helmets. I hope that they don't do it again after this, or I hope in the future they never have to do it again. Like once fans are able to buy tickets again and the NHL does start making money again, I really hope to see that they get rid of the ads. I just don't want to see the ads in the helmets. And I feel like some teams did it well, some teams didn't. Like, I really like the Scotiabank logo on the Leafs home helmet. Looks nice with the white. But then you look at it with the red helmet, or with the white helmet, the red logo, it looks weird. But if you ask me, I think that makes the Leafs the best team to wear Le Bleu Blanc et Rouge. So, I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't want to see ads on NHL jerseys. It's not going to kill me, but I don't want to see it on NHL jerseys. I feel like the jerseys are sacred. It's different for European jerseys. Like, I feel like the European jerseys, they're nice because of the ads. NHL jerseys, they're nice because we don't see ads on them. That's essentially how it is. I hope after this season or even next year, they don't have to do it again. I hope that they find a way that they don't have to do it. They can just, when fans are able to buy tickets again, when they do get the main resources again going, I hope that the ads do stop, and I hope we do see the logos on the helmets again and not the ads. So, how much time we got? We're at 36 minutes. So, I also got the Jays and Raptors up on the wall because that's who I'm going to be talking to. I want to talk about them real quick. The Jays. So I just want to talk about the Raptors first. What's going on? Like, I don't follow basketball as much, but they have just not been looking good, I guess. Last night, they should have won. They lost last second to CJ McCollum. But they're, 2-6, I think they are? 2-8? Just not looking good for them. It's been a really rough start to the year. I think they'll figure it out at the end. It's the Raptors. I trust them. I think they'll be fine. But other than the Raptors, the other team the team that I really care more for, it's the Jays right now. Guys, they got a really bright future. So they missed out on the what's his name? The Lindor trade. Kind of happy it didn't happen because they would have had to give up a lot. And so instead of giving up players, they're going to be... they can go out into free agency and get somebody. Excuse me. Which they didn't really need a shortstop because they already have Bichette, who's going to be, a superstar in the future, if not already now. But there's been talks that DJ LeMahieu is going to be coming to the Jays, or could be coming to the Jays, because the Yankees sort of screwed him over. So if that happens, I'm going to be very happy because he won the, I think it was the AL scoring title, or I know he had the most home runs in the AL East. So to see that, to have him come to the Jays would be beautiful. There have been rumors too with George Springer. I'll be honest, he hasn't really impressed me. He's a big name, but he's going to want a lot of money. And for somebody who was part of that cheating scandal, is it worth it? Because is he good? Is he truly good without them banging on trash cans? Plus, I'd rather have DJ LeMahieu. He's won the scoring title for the AL East. I think it was the AL2 in general. Can't really remember, sorry. He's going to be cheaper than George Springer. And I think for the outfield, I think he'll be better. So there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff. I'll talk about it more as the season goes on. There's not really much to talk about because not everybody watches baseball. I understand that. Not everybody follows it as much, but I'll talk about it when things do happen. Like when the Jays do sign somebody. So for now, so for next episode, or actually after the Super Bowl, what I was thinking, I'll go on Instagram. I'm gonna put the question thing. So have questions ready. I want to start answering fan questions for the podcast. If anybody has any questions for anything, doesn't matter what sport it is, hockey, football, basketball, baseball, basketball, I'll try and answer, but I might have to get a specialist on the phone. But for now, keep your eyes out for a little question thing. Don't really think there's much to talk about. there's going to be a lot more to talk about next week with the divisional rounds for football, and hockey will be starting. So I'll probably be screaming about the Leafs. I'll definitely be screaming about the Leafs. We just don't know if it's going to be a good scream or bad scream. Also depends on how you guys see it. So that's all for today. Follow the podcast on Instagram at Leading the Pack Pod. Follow me on Instagram at Bonavoda, and you can also follow me on Instagram at Bonavoda_. I think that's all for today. Episodes are going to be on Wednesday now, by the way, instead of Monday, because I feel like I'll record when I have time to actually make sure the episodes are good instead of just rushing it on Mondays. So that's all for today. If you liked it,